Hey everybody, John Clark here from Private Practice Workshop, coming at you with another live Q&A. So as people come in, I'm just going to kind of introduce myself. If it's your first time here or first time meeting me. Let's see, where do I begin? Long time ago when I was in graduate school, I was sitting down in a kind of intro to clinical mental health counseling class, and basically they sat us down and they told us, hey, if you want to help people and make good money, you're in the wrong place. You should probably leave now. And that stuck with me forever, and I thought that absolutely can't be true. They brought in this very tired, burned out looking group of therapists that were working in the field to be kind of the panel for us to ask questions about the industry, becoming a counselor, and all this stuff. And they were exhausted, overworked, underpaid. They all worked at agencies, nonprofits, things like that. And that was kind of my intro to the profession. And what I thought was, man, it can't be this bad, and it can't be this bad forever. And so I got into the field. I've worked in nonprofits, college counseling, hospitals, you name it. And I started my first private practice in 2013, learned a lot of things the hard way, and I've been teaching therapists about business ever since. So I'm now running my third private practice in San Francisco, California, where I live. We're growing into a group practice. And then with the rest of my time, I teach therapists. I'm a business coach for therapists, and I really love what I do. So our YouTube channel is just one extension of that. And this is a place where you can learn a lot of what you need to be successful in private practice through our many videos. You can also come and ask me questions right now in these live Q&As. So for the people here, go ahead and start asking me questions about business, private practice, marketing, even online business questions like YouTube, online courses, passive income, affiliate marketing, podcasting, you name it. I'm here to answer your questions. So ask away. I'll bring up one question at a time, and then I'll be here for about 30 minutes. So ask away, and we'll get right into it. Okay, got our first question here. Let's see. So the question is, I can't decide whether to go for LMHC or LCSW licensure. The classes in an LMHC program seem more interesting, but LCSW privileges seem higher. In other words, insurance billing, ability to diagnose in New York State, and the advice. Yeah, this is a really wonderful question, actually. And what I would say is, at the end of the day, the license matters, but what matters more is the actual education that you'll get along the way to getting the license. So for instance, there are a lot of LCSW programs out there. Some of them will be very focused on things like case management and true social work programs, right? Working in systems and hospitals, working kind of managed care systems. Then you will have LCSW programs, like there's one called Smith College in Massachusetts that is very clinical, very much preparing you to be a psychotherapist, immersing you in clinical work right away. It's a very psychodynamic program. It's a really amazing program if you just want to do clinical work or work in a private practice or college counseling and do straightforward psychotherapy. So I think that's something to think about, is the quality of the program itself. Now, from a portability standpoint, the LCSW wins because it's been around the longest. They've got a real foothold in terms of the privileges. That being said, the other licenses are catching up fast, and it's becoming a more equal world in the world of mental health. When I moved out to California, I was an LPC, and the LPC barely existed in California. I was like number 700 for the whole state, which is crazy. So that was 2013, and the LPC had only been around for a few years, right? And most of those 700 people before me had been grandfathered in. They were either LCSWs or MFTs that had got grandfathered in. So I got that license, and it was a really long road, and it was hard to get traction with that in California, but now it's pretty normal to be an LPC in California. So the shame is, in our country, the states vary so much with licensure, and I really wish they didn't. But if you know which state you're going to be in, like if you're going to stay in New York forever, then get the license that's best for there, but more importantly, get the training that's best for there. So if it is LMHC, get the LMHC. If you're going to go into private practice, it won't matter anyway in terms of your license. Your clients aren't going to care if you're an LCSW or LMHC. The only thing they care about is whether you can help them effectively and whether they feel comfortable talking to you and opening up to you. Good question. All right. Got a straight business question here. So question is a question about staff employment, secretaries' pay. How do you decide the pay level, pay upgrades over what time frame, and bonuses so that it is fair but not taken for granted? Yeah, when you're hiring someone, you want to make sure that it's a fair salary that they're going to be motivated to work for, but also that there's room for growth. How do you decide the pay level? I would look at what's standard for your area and see if you can either go a little bit above it or think about other creative ways in which you can compensate your secretary in this case. So things like company culture, or maybe you include lunch once a week that you pay for the whole staff. Maybe there's opportunities for training and advancement. Maybe have a really flexible paid time off policy or unlimited vacation or something like that. Think about what else you can offer, and also don't underestimate the benefit of kind of workplace culture in itself. In other words, if you create a really great place to work that has a clear mission, vision, and values, people will want to work for you. They'll want to stay for a long time naturally. They will actually end up paying less money or earning less money with you for a better place to work, a place where they like the people, they like working with you because you're a great manager. You make them feel valued and welcome and excited. You respect their ideas. You help them work on their ideas in terms of how to make the practice better. So it's really up to you. So think about the whole compensation package, so to speak, and think about going beyond just the pay, right? There's a lot of other ways to make it a great place to work. The other thing you can do is just ask them what would be incentivizing to them. Ask them what they want, right? If healthcare is a huge part of what they want, think about how you could loop that in, or maybe pay them a little less hourly, but include the health insurance, right? So I would ask people, or ask if you have a really good candidate, ask that person, what would make this a no-brainer for you? What would make this job a dream job for you? And see what you can put together. The last thing I would say, and this is something that I offer, is a profit sharing model. So what happens is, for instance, out of all the revenue you have for that month, you have a portion of it that's just profit. So after you've paid your clinicians, your expenses, yourself, then you have profit left over. Let's say you have $1,000 that month left over. You might decide to then take that $1,000 and disperse it evenly to your team members. Or you could disperse it based on their volume, based on the clinician's volume. Another way to do it with the secretary is you could give her a bonus every time she books a new client, or every time she books 5 new clients for the practice, she gets a $100 Amazon gift card or something like that, or a $100 bonus. I think this is another great way to reward the person if they are in fact doing the intakes for your practice as well. They're effectively the salesperson of the business. You definitely want to reward them as such based on volume. Good question. I've got one more here from Snowcar. I doubt that's your real name, but if so, that's a cool name. And I have another question after this from Abanti. Thanks for coming back, Abanti. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming last time. Snowcar says, I'm a fellow Dave Ramsey follower. That's great. And have decided to cash flow my master's degree. That's wonderful. I think that is very, very smart. Going part-time, it'll take 3 to 4 years. Tips on staying motivated. My tips, yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, congrats and kudos to you on cash flowing it. This is huge, and it's going to give you a huge head start when you get into the profession and are not going to have massive amounts of debt from your master's program hanging over your head. So slow and steady wins the race in this case, and not taking on debt if you don't have to is a real win. So you should feel good about that. Tips on staying motivated. Keep thinking of the outcome. Keep thinking of your mission and why you're doing this, right? You know, graduate school was very long. For me, it was 3 years. And after that, I needed 4,000 hours of pre-license experience. Man, it's hard to stay motivated in that when you're overworked and underpaid, and those 4,000 hours seems like a mountain to climb. At the end of the day, you know, you are in this to help people, to make a difference, to serve others, to really change the world by serving others and helping people reduce their suffering. So stay focused on the bigger mission. When you get tired or feeling burned out, take care of yourself, step back from the work, step back from studying, take vacations when you can, take vacations that are truly unplugged, and just try to keep in mind that there's more to life than just work. That's going to help you stay motivated. So don't burn yourself out on it, because then you'll be no good to anyone. Yeah. Let me know if you got more questions on this. It's great though. All right, Abanti says, thoughts on new clinicians feeling guilty for charging for psychotherapy. I can't wrap my head around it, but I also want to make a viable living for myself. This is interesting, right? Because name one other professional service person that we would expect to work for free. Like, imagine if a plumber is coming over to my house and they're like an apprentice plumber or something, or a new plumber, and they're going to fix my toilet, right? No matter what. And it's like, well, you're new, so I'm not going to pay you. Right? Or my dentist is new, so I'm not going to pay you, right? People don't value what they don't pay for, right? So the money is, as much of the money is there for your income, it's also there for a value exchange in itself, right? People, yeah, again, they don't value what they don't pay for, so they need some skin in the game. In terms of feeling guilty for charging for psychotherapy, it is not our job to manage our clients' wallets. And you might want to write that on like a Post-it note. People have all sorts of money. They get money from places we have no idea about, whether it's from a family or inheritance, or they sold something, or who knows what. Some people have like large amounts of money that we would never know about. It's not my job to know that or to manage their money for them, right? What is my job is if they come to therapy with me, even if I'm new or pre-licensed or whatever, my job is to first and foremost take care of myself and serve the interests of my business so that I can eat and be okay and be fed and feed my family. Because if I can't do that, I can't help anyone in the world. So that's my first, the important thing to do. The second thing is you need to see the inherent value in this, in your work, right? You're providing life-changing transformational experiences to people. That is worth gold. You should be a little uncomfortable with your fees no matter what. If you're new or you've been doing it a million years, you should be a little uncomfortable with your fees because that means you're growing. Yeah, thanks, Abanti. Ryan Baker, a similar kind of question. If my target demographic is teens and college-age people, how do I set rates? I don't feel bad about it, but they have less income in general. Again, same principle here. They have less income in general, but on the other hand, it's not up to us to manage their wallets, right? If it's a teen, mom and dad are probably paying. If it's college-age people, mom and dad are probably paying. Or if it's really, really, really important to that college student, they're going to bust their tail and pick up some extra work or drive for Uber to be able to pay for their therapy. People also have really good benefits these days. So if you're charging, $200 a session and someone has a decent, health insurance plan or a PPO plan, that $100 might be more like that $200 might be more like $100 out of their pocket and $100 reimbursed from your insurance, right? From insurance. Again, key is it's not up to us to manage our clients' wallets. There's no other profession where, my chiropractor is trying to manage my wallet, right? Or feeling bad about charging their fee for fixing my back. You just focus on fixing my back, right? And I'm happy to pay for that because it's of value to my life and it helps me be well. Another good fee question. What do you do when patients try to negotiate the fees with you? First of all, I think you try to think about where it's coming from, right? You use put your therapist hat on a little bit and think like, is this person really need the reduced fee, or are they undervaluing me from the get-go, or are they ambivalent about starting, so they're trying to cheapen the process a little bit? Here's my take on sliding scale and everything. I try to have about 90% of my slots full of my full fee clients. So if my fee is $250, I've got 90% of people paying $250. And then that 10% is left for me to do whatever I want. Sliding scale, pro bono, whatever I want. I can do that though only when I've filled my private pay slot. So if someone is coming, they're clearly motivated, they clearly want to work with me, I want to work with them, and they're asking for a reduced fee because of a specific reason, my income's low, I'm in debt, I'm in trouble, whatever, then I might be willing to work with them, right? Again, if they're really motivated and going to be a good client, then I might be able to slide. Otherwise, I was calling my own therapist years ago and signing up, and I was actually a pre-licensed therapist at the time, so I was making dirt. And I called him, and I'm like, all right, so I definitely want to work with you. I've heard you're a great therapist. I'm a therapist as well, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so yeah, you want to sign up? Yeah, I do want to sign up. It's like, okay, well, how much does it cost and everything? And it's like, well, It's $175, and my first opening is next Friday. Do you want to take it? And I'm like, do you provide any, sliding scale? Because I had learned this, from other people and other therapists. Oh, do you provide any sliding scale? And he says, no, I don't. And that's it. And I signed up anyway, right? Because he's the best therapist for me, has a great reputation, and I value it, right? So he just said, no, I don't offer that. Nope, sorry, I don't offer that. Or not even sorry. You don't have to be sorry. That was pretty powerful, just giving me the answer. Okay. Special gifts ministry. How do you set prices for group therapy sessions? So roughly when I'm thinking about my hourly earning and I'm thinking about a group setting, I want to at least 2.5x or even 3x my hourly earning. That's how I kind of think about it. So take your therapy fee and imagine 2.5x or even 3x your therapy fee. So if my fee is $200, 3xing that, or just let's say times 3, would be $600, right? Something like that. And then you just want to see if it's a fee that could clearly be workable for a lot of your clients. All right, Mike. Mike says, as I build my brand and site, should I promote myself because I'm trying to sell my therapist self or use language to hook clients into my site? I think a little bit of both, and obviously you have to find your way here with your own ethics. I think you should have some hooks, for your site, and your hooks can be focused on the benefits and outcomes of therapy, like going from surviving to thriving, or helping you become your best self, or break free from trauma, break free from the past, break free from anxiety, right? Beat depression once and for all. Who knows? I think you can use hooks like that, and then you can also be genuine about it. You can use some hooks, but you can also be genuine and explain who you are, how you help, why you care about this. And I think you can have it all. Got about 10 minutes left, guys. So if you got questions, keep them coming. All right. Snowcar says, how can I get a sense of whether I'd be a good therapist before committing to a master's program and waiting for clinical field experience assessing real clients? This is a great question, and a really hard one, right? Because a problem with our industry is it's hard to tap into. It's hard to get a taste of. The best thing you could probably do, to be honest, is get a part-time job in a bachelor's level position, like a support counselor or whatever they're called, like an aide, essentially. You could be an aide like in a psychiatric hospital or for a nonprofit. You could do behavioral counseling, like behavioral intervention stuff, ABA. You could do kids with special needs. You could do things like that. It's really important, I think, to get some hands-on experience just serving people and being in that helping profession, and then try to think about how that would translate to doing that, day in and day out, or doing that full time. One of my favorite sayings, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Same thing with getting your master's or becoming a therapist. Like, if you're not all in, then don't do it. It should be fairly obvious, I think, because being a therapist is really in your core. It's really an identity you're taking on. It's not just like, I cut hair for a living and that's what I do. It's like, I am a therapist, so it's a big role, the big shoes to fill, and it's a big identity shift. It's a new identity to take on. Bonte says, definitely writing, it's not my job to manage my clients' wallets on a post-it. That's great. Let's see if I missed any. Okay, another question about group practice. What's your setup, or that which is commonly done when bringing other associates into the practice, if it's your practice? Many ways to do this, right? So, and I've got videos on this. I've got podcasts on, what it's like to become a group practice owner. In terms of paying them, the most common is probably a percentage split. I'm not saying that's the best one. That's one way to do it. So maybe, the session happens, and then the clinician keeps 35, 40%, 50%, whatever. And then the business is paying for expenses and profiting the rest, or profiting some portion of that. Another way to do it would be flat fees. So let's say the session is generates $100, and the flat fee is $60, or the flat fee is $45 per session. You could do it that way. You could do a flat rate plus commission. So you could do $30 plus a commission, percentage commission based on how much the session was. You could also do percentage split based on volume. There's a million ways to do it. I would say if you are going to do this, sit down with a good accountant and sketch this out, make a real good business plan. Great question here. Interesting one. This will get me fired up. Are you charging the rate? Are you charging the rate if the session is via Zoom? 100%. People are not paying for my office and my windows and my curtains and my tissues and my painting in the background on my couch. They're paying for the value of therapy. They're paying for the value that comes out of a therapy session. This is huge. Do not discount your prices just because it's on Zoom. Yeah. All right, Snowcar says, do you think volunteer experience at a crisis hotline is valuable at all? I do. I think it's really good experience. Yeah, that's pretty close to therapy. Answering those phones, talking to people, using listening skills, learning basic listening skills is huge. Doing that mental health first aid stuff, I think that's like a training. That's great stuff. 5 more minutes, guys. Tiffany says, how do I find and market my niche? Your niche is really going to be proportionate to the size of your market, right? So if you're in a really urban area, you're going to want to niche down more. If you're in a really rural area, you're probably not going to want to niche down as much, right? Because doing something super, super tightly niche like teenage girls with eating disorders in a really small town might be too small for that area, right? But something like that in a big city might work super well. Once you've found your niche, you found like the right size, for your area, then you just want to build your brand around that or build part of your brand around that niche. If you're wondering what people are searching in your area, do some Google keyword search, right? Or kind of keyword research. So you can look at Google Trends or the Google Keyword Planner or a tool called Uber Suggest. Uber Suggest, just like the Uber. You could look those up and see what people are actually searching. Beverly says, do you have advice for undergraduate students who wish to pursue further education in therapy? Yeah, absolutely. This is huge. And I would say get a bachelor's level or get an entry-level job in mental health in some way. When I was in undergraduate, I was like a behavioral aide at an inpatient psychiatric unit. I was also like a personal aide for people in the community for like a nonprofit with like severe mental health issues. I would go and run errands with them or get them outside or help them make phone calls, stuff like that. Just get into some position helping people. Work with kids with disabilities, right? Do some behavioral work, stuff like that. Just find ways to get in the helping profession. Beyond that, start reading about therapy. Go to your own therapy. It's massively important to be in your own therapy. That's the best training you'll ever get in your life to become a therapist, is being in your own therapy. The last thing I would say is just start writing about what you're learning. Start a blog that could eventually become your private practice site. It could be yourname.com, could be a generic therapy name, and then start blogging about what you're learning from now until, when you're in the field, and boom, you've got a private practice site and hundreds of blog posts and a bunch of traffic and an email list. That's what I wish I had done. Really great question. Snowcar says, I have an equal interest in creating art and music as I do in becoming a therapist in private practice. Do you think it's possible to do both? Well, I do both. I'm a therapist and a business coach, and I make music. I play music every week. I don't make money from it, or at least not much. So it's possible to do both, but I personally want my career to be in something that's consistently viable, that's recession proof. And for me, therapy is a good match for that. But you should do what you love. I'm just a guy on YouTube. Yeah. For me, it happens that I love therapy so much. I love it as much as music. I love it as much as my other hobbies like martial arts and surfing. So for me, it's like, this is just fun. I just love this stuff. In graduate school, I would finish a long day of studying and training and then go home, and in order to relax, I would just read therapy books. Just couldn't get enough. You should have that kind of tenacity, if you're going to be a therapist or a therapist in training. Tiffany says, ever heard of concierge services provided by a therapist? What is it and how does it work? Yeah, it's an interesting point. Yes, I've heard of it. I know some therapists who do it. got to look into your licensure and your board and all that stuff to see if it's actually legit or legal to do it. But basically what it is like you'd be putting a therapist on retainer essentially and have like almost like a wraparound service for the person. So let's say the client paid me X amount, per month, and for X amount per month, I would assure them, 4 sessions a month, maybe 1 a week. I would also ensure that they could text me whenever they want, and I would text them back. It would include free, 15-minute phone calls once or twice a week, etc. That'd be like a concierge service. Yeah. Ryan says, what martial arts do you do? Therapist and MMA practitioner here. Yeah, that's great. I did Kempo karate for about 11 years, have a black belt in that, which it involves a lot of jujitsu. And then I've been doing Muay Thai ever since. I've done Muay Thai for like 4 years maybe. And I'm literally obsessed with the UFC and MMA. If I had another channel, it would be MMA. It would be like a UFC or MMA channel. I'm absolutely obsessed. I watch every card. Be watching the Adesanya card soon. I think he's going to have no problem beating Jan. Should be interesting stuff. The sport is amazing. It's been amazing to have during COVID too, to watch these cards and stuff and to see that sport continuing. It's just been amazing. And then that training for me is just a critical outlet. If I don't have that, I start to go a little bit nuts. Thanks, Ryan. I'd love to hear which ones you practice and what kind of background you have with MMA. If you're a cage fighter, if you're a professional or paid MMA fighter, I'd be like, man, kudos to you. I'm not that brave. My buddy here in the next office is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so I'm very respectful to him because he could take me down at any moment. And my Muay Thai leg kicks would be useless. Another question. She says, thank you so much. This was really insightful and informative. I really appreciate your time and advice. That means a lot to me. I've started doing this, a few weeks ago, and I've just really loved it. You guys have been awesome. And it's funny because I kind of built my business on Facebook. So I've been doing Facebook Lives and Facebook ads, and I have a Facebook group that I don't really use anymore, but I used that for like 3 years to build this business. And then now YouTube is our fastest growing platform out of our whole ecosystem. So we have, podcasts, Facebook, email list, everything. And now it's like, I'm kind of all in on YouTube. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to keep growing. A lot of you folks, are learning a ton on YouTube. So I really love engaging with you guys. So I'll be sure to do this again. You know what? Let's just pencil it in right now. How about that? We can all pencil it in. Looking at my calendar for next week, I could do. I'm going to do Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, YouTube Live. That's a promise. So Wednesday the 3rd at 2 p.m. Pacific, that'd be 5 p.m. Eastern and everything in between. Thanks, Abanti, for coming. Appreciate that. Ryan, I love the background. A little Kung Fu, a little Muay Thai. That's great. So keep thinking about your questions, guys. And again, we have just so many videos here on this channel. You can just dive into these videos, learn a ton. Head over to privatepracticeworkshop.com, check out more free resources there. Make sure to get into our email list. You can opt into any free training there on the site. And tell your friends about the channel. Really help me grow this thing. I love providing value to you guys, and I want to really grow this so I can help more therapists. So tell your friends about this. Send them a link to the channel. Have them subscribe, and off we go. I'll see you on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Look forward to that, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks again for being here. Cheers.